Hi, this is Mark Rogers again. I want to talk about protein quality. People have a lot of misconceptions in that area, and that's a critical factor in not only losing body fat, but also gaining muscle, which is what you want to do. If you're losing body fat, you want to replace it with quality, lean muscle tissue. So the big thing with protein is how it's processed, or should I say not processed, because that's the key. You don't want to eat heavily processed foods of any kind, but especially proteins, because usually proteins have fats, and fats that are processed are typically damaged, and they cause problems in your body because your body will use the damaged materials to make more damaged materials in your body, and so forth and so on. So the key is to eat unprocessed protein as much as possible. So what that does is typically is going to rule out your protein shakes. Everybody's sucking down protein shakes left, right, and center all the time because, they think they need to have more protein, which is probably true, but what they don't know is the protein in protein shakes is typically very heavily processed and damaged, and it's not really usable to your body. So when you consume those, it can be a problem because naturally protein is typically in things that have some substance to them. So when you digest it, it slowly goes through your system, whereas if you're drinking this liquid, it just flies right through, and the protein is typically digested in the beginning part of the digestive tract, and so if you're drinking it, it just flies on by. You're not eating any other food with it that's going to have any bulk to it. It's going to be hard to gain a lot of benefit, so you're not going to be able to absorb a lot of it. So I would say to typically avoid protein shakes unless you've already optimized your diet, which most people in terms of protein have not. Now, people have the misconception that you always need to be eating chicken breasts and turkey this, and every little ounce of fat you need to throw away because it's bad for you and so forth. In reality, it's all based on how the animal, typically proteins coming from animals, is raised and processed. So if the animal's not consuming feed that has hormones or is of poor quality, and they're not being given antibiotics and so forth, that will help the quality. If they're a typically raised animal in your mass-produced sort of situation, then you probably want to avoid the higher fat meats and animal products because the toxins and all the other impurities and whatnot are going to be stored in the fat, and thus you're eating them. It's going to go into your system and cause your body to store the same sort of things. So the quality of the actual animal that the protein comes from is key. If it's of high quality, in other words, it's organic or it's free range, naturally raised, it's not eating all kinds of chemically laden, pesticide laden foods and in a cramped, unnatural environment, or all those sorts of things, then you probably don't need to worry about the fat as much. And certainly different people respond to different foods in different ways. I myself don't respond well to low fat, lean type cuts of meat like chicken breasts, etc. So I don't eat a lot of that because I don't feel satiated, and it really isn't the best for me. Other people like that and prefer it. So look at the quality. Try to buy free-range organic if possible. It is more expensive, but the benefits are numerous. Not only are you getting better quality protein, but there's vitamins, minerals, etc. That's another reason why you don't want to drink all these shakes, because it's all artificially concocted. It's not in the natural ratios of vitamins and minerals and other components that you're going to get in a product that is, say a whole chicken or a cut of meat that is obviously straight from an animal. It's not been in a factory where it's been heated and dried and ground up and every other thing under the sun. So just remember, with protein, you want the high quality, not necessarily the low fat, because fat is beneficial as long as it's not contaminated, it's not damaged. And you're going to have to look. If you buy out of typical grocery stores, it's not really going to be easy to find this kind of stuff. Your standard packages of meat and so forth in a Safeway or any other kind of grocery store that's mainstream is not probably going to be of the highest quality. It's going to be fed on natural diet, so forth. You see restaurants, they're always touting the fact that their beef is corn-fed. Well, that's not very attractive if you understand that animals, especially cows, don't naturally eat corn. They eat grass, and if they eat corn, their body composition and makeup is not what it should be. So I wouldn't run in to buy corn-fed beef, because let's face it, it's not the natural way the animal's supposed to eat, and it's not going to benefit you the way it should. Same with chickens and fowl and whatnot. They're supposed to roam around and eat, bugs and grits and seeds and all that stuff. They're not supposed to be smashed in cages and fed, diets that are not natural to them. So that's the most important thing. Avoid unprocessed or avoid processed by unprocessed meats and proteins, and avoid protein shakes because they don't help you out, and if anything, they're more detrimental because there's all kinds of other things in a lot of them, soy and other types of artificial colorings and additives and everything else under the sun. If you don't eat this high quality protein, you're going to have a hard time recovering from your exercise, and you're going to have a hard time building muscle and losing body fat, which is the key there, building the muscle so you can lose body fat. It's critical. That, along with, of course, cutting back on your carbohydrate, sugar intake, not vegetables. Those are good, but you want to cut back on the sugary ones, and you'll be much better off and well on your way toward achieving a fitter body and dropping fat and all those sorts of things that everybody wants to do. It's really critical to focus on the diet. The diet is 95, I would say even more, percentage of getting the results. If you can focus on your diet and really cut out the things that you shouldn't have, which most people don't even know what that actually is because they're too focused on the mainstream advice that a lot of it is nonsense, then you will be successful. Focus on your diet first, and then add in the exercise, add in the lifestyle modifications, and you'll be quite happy with your results, and they'll happen a lot quicker than you probably originally expected.